Chapter 171. Isn't this a death flag? Farm Employment Contract. Party A shall pay Party B 500 g of locust meat and 1 sweet potato for the work done on the farm from the start to the finish of the working hours. This contract will be renewed every year, and either Party A or Party B can terminate the contract during the renewal period if they wish. Party A, Tower Farmer Park, Sejun. Party B, Dooley 212. The moles did not have specific names, so Theo named them arbitrarily. Chairman Park, all the stamps are collected, meow. Theo completed the mole's contract and ran to Sejun, jumping onto his lap. Well done, Vice Chairman Theo. The food you had today is a welcoming gift for joining our farm. Let's start fresh from tomorrow. Sejun patted Theo's head and spoke to the moles. Do-do. Do-do. The moles were overjoyed when they heard that the meat they ate that day would be gifted to them instead of being paid in cash. One by one, after eating the meat, they left for home, ready to start work the next day. Haha, Vice Chairman Theo, did you see my negotiating skills? As expected, Chairman Park is amazing, meow. Theo looked at Sejun with admiration, but then, Krung. Kyungi, I'm sleepy. After having lunch, Kyungi lay down, leaning against Sejun's back and lay down, wanting to take a nap. However, because Sejun and Theo were busy getting the mole contracts, they hadn't eaten lunch. Munch. Sejun swallowed a piece of meat that Aileen had given him. Now, 97 pieces remained. He was gradually getting full. After a quick meal, Sejun asked, Vice Chairman Theo, you want some churu, right? Of course, meow. Give me churu quickly, meow. All right. Sejun opened a churu for Theo. After a while, yawn. Sejun, feeling full and warmed by Theo and Kyungi, started to doze off. Chirp, chirp. Pew hut. Even in this situation, I, Vice Chairman Theo, am awesome, always staying alert, meow. Theo, while eating his churu, kept a vigilant watch. However, snore, kurr, gorarung. After finishing his churu, Theo quickly fell asleep, joining the snoring duo of Sejun and Kyungi. And then, pip pip, in the end the one who stays vigilant is me. The golden bat, hanging from the persimmon tree, chuckled while keeping an eye on the surroundings. From here the enemy split into 2 groups. We should also divide our forces. Hegel, who had been tracking the scent from the Three-Head Society's hideout, told Ulrich. Understood, divide the forces in 2. Having split, they continued their pursuit and discovered. There's a passageway here. 2 secret passageways used by the Three-Head Society. They didn't know their exact use, but they seemed to connect different floors, similar to merchant routes. After confirming the enemy's routes, the divided forces regrouped. And then, quickly check where these lead and come back. Yes. Hegel ordered the wolves, who swiftly returned with the information. The passages they found connected to the 49th and 33rd floors of the tower. One led up, the other down. I used to oversee the 49th floor. I'll take that. Please handle the 33rd floor. Understood, then I'll take the 33rd floor. With that, Ulrich and Hegel led their combined forces of black orcs and wolves, splitting up to go either up or down. After a 30-minute nap. All right. Sejun, waking up, stretched energetically. Getting up after a short nap, he felt rejuvenated. Guys, wake up. Sejun hurriedly tried to wake up Theo and Kyungi. Meow, I want to sleep more, meow. Krung. I want to sleep more. When Sejun woke them, both responded with drowsy complaints. Then sleep a bit more. Since Sejun was the only one working anyway, he placed Theo on Kyungi's belly and got up. Sejun, are you starting your work again? The golden bat, who had been keeping watch from the persimmon tree, flew over and perched on Sejun's shoulder. Yes, golden bat, can you sing in the center of the farm for all the persimmon trees to hear? Yes. Sejun sent the golden bat to the center of the farm so all the persimmon trees could hear. Then he placed his hand on the nearest persimmon tree and began to heal it. Kroong. Kyungi stood up from his spot alone. Theo quickly felt uncomfortable and had long since settled on Sejun's lap. Then, Kroong. A massive vibration occurred from the ground. Kroong. Is someone there? Kwung. Feeling something strange, Kyungi tapped where the vibration occurred. It was a gentle knock. Kuguang. In response to Kyungi's knock, something started rising from the ground. Then a giant mole about 3 meters in size appeared. It had horns on its head and a fresh-looking lump at the back of its head. How dare you attack me, the boss of the 49th floor, horned mole Dooku. Dooku, who as the boss of the 49th floor, could only leave his post for 1 hour a month, was furious to have his precious time interrupted. Kroong Kroong. No, Kyungi never attacked. Kyungi replied, lowering his head. He hadn't attacked, he had simply knocked lightly. Don't lie, you think I wouldn't feel the shockwave from your position. Kroong. You think Kyungi is lying now. Dooku's words infuriated Kyungi. I'm a good bear who listens to Dad, I don't lie. And then, thump. In an instant, Kyungi, who had grown to about 10 meters in size, grabbed Dooku by the collar with his left hand. Kroong Kroong. Are you saying Kyungi really lied? Shake. Kyungi asked, shaking Dooku by the collar roughly. However, what's with him? Save me. Overwhelmed by Kyungi's explosive power, Dooku had already fainted. Shake. Kroong. Wake up. Kyungi tried to wake up Dooku, but since Kyungi didn't weaken his magic power, Dooku kept fainting. Shake. Kyungi didn't give up and kept shaking Dooku to wake him up. Then, Kyungi, what's happening? Sejun, who stopped his work upon feeling the strong magic, asked. Kroong Kroong. He said Kyungi lied, so Kyungi was explaining that he did. Huh, who explains things by grabbing someone by the collar? Calm down and eat this, I'll talk to him. Sejun, who had heard the whole story, gave Kyungi a snack to calm him down. Kroong. Okay. Kyungi replied and returned to his original size. Then, Kroong. Delicious. After eating the snack, Kyungi quickly cheered up. As his anger subsided, his explosive power also diminished. Dooku regained consciousness. You're the one who said Kyungi lied. It's not a lie. I clearly felt the hit when I was passing by, but you said you didn't hit me. Dooku, now speaking more respectfully, burst out in indignation at Sejun's words. That's my mistake. Our Kyungi still can't control his strength. Having heard the situation, Sejun apologized to Dooku. Clearly, this was Kyungi's fault. Then, Kyungi apologized to Dooku. Sejun decided to teach Kyungi that unintentional actions can still hurt others. Kroong. Why should Kyungi apologize when he didn't hit? Kyungi tilted his head, questioning. He had no intention of hitting, so he couldn't understand Sejun's request. Kyungi, with great power comes. Sejun started, thinking of a fitting movie quote. No. He quickly cut himself off. The character who gives that line usually dies in movies. That's a death flag. Kroong. Dad, why did you stop talking? Kyungi, even if you didn't mean to hit, if the other person feels hurt, it's as if you hit them. So let's apologize to Dooku. Kroong. I'm sorry. Though he seemed not to understand completely, Kyungi apologized to Dooku as Sejun asked. That's how one learns, slowly but surely. I apologize too. I also misunderstood the situation. When Kyungi apologized, Dooku graciously accepted the apology. Thank you, here's a gift as an apology. Sejun handed Dooku a whole piece of locust meat. Oh, thank you. Dooku, receiving the meat, drooled and couldn't take his eyes off it. By the way, is it okay for you, a boss monster, to stay here? Look at the time, I must return. Dooku, jolted by Sejun's words, hurriedly tried to return to the waypoint. Let's go with him. Sejun intended to familiarize himself with the route to the waypoint, and even complete the waypoint registration. Thus, Sejun, having become acquainted with the boss of the 49th floor of the tower, and completing the waypoint registration in a smooth process, returned to heal the persimmon tree and spent his first night on the 49th floor. The next morning, Sejun couldn't move his right arm as if it was pinned down. Since Pinkfur was not here naturally, Kyungi slept together with Sejun, and Kyungi was sleeping while holding Sejun's right arm. When looked closely, it was almost like an arm lock. Kyungi, who unconsciously employed an advanced technique, was indeed a formidable creature. "Hey guys, wake up." Sejun quickly woke the animals. Starting today, the moles would start their work, and he needed to be teaching them farming. After waking the animals, Sejun left the brick house, which looked similar to the one on the 99th floor. He had built it using Myler's hoe and the land-moving skill the day before. There was also a cooking area next to it. "Let's have breakfast." Sejun quickly prepared breakfast and called the animals, while Sejun and the animals were eating. Do. The moles began their day by digging tunnels. "We need to start by fixing the moles' tunnels," Sejun said, looking at the haphazard tunnels the moles had made. If the moles always arrived like this, they wouldn't be able to make a field. By the time Sejun finished breakfast, all 2012 moles had reported for work. Today, Instructor Kyungi will teach you how to create fields and plant. Krung. Follow Kyungi. Kyungi will teach you how to plant. At Sejun's words, Kyungi led the moles to the soil that Toryang had well mixed. "Our Kyungi has grown so much." Sejun gazed affectionately at Kyungi, who had once planted fish heads in the ground, but now he had grown enough to teach other novice farmers. Watching Kyungi, Sejun said, "Now let's get to work." "Yes." He headed to the persimmon trees with the golden bat. Of course, Theo was attached to Sejun's knee as a default option. Farmer's Warm Touch LV4 is activated. The roots of the persimmon tree heal a little while touched. Thanks to the preliminary work already done by the golden bat song, Sejun could heal the persimmon trees a bit faster than the previous day. After treating about 20 trees, "Look, there's a suspicious guy." The black orcs, who had arrived on the 49th floor to track down the Three-Head Society, surrounded Sejun. "Meow, it's the black orcs, meow." "What, do you know them, Vice Chairman Theo?" Sejun, putting on his bone helmet and preparing for battle, asked Theo. "Of course, meow. They're the subordinates of my subordinate Ulrich, meow. Where is Ulrich, meow?" Theo spoke proudly, calling for the king of the black orcs, Ulrich. Chapter 172. How insolent! How dare you casually address our King Ulrich by his name? As Theo mentioned Ulrich's name casually, the black orc soldiers, filled with rage, closed in on Sejun and Theo, preparing to attack. "What's going on? Vice Chairman Theo, weren't they supposed to be the subordinates of your subordinate?" "That's right, meow, but it seems like they don't recognize me, meow." "Did you lie about it?" "No, meow, I never lied to Chairman Park, meow. They are the fools, meow." Despite being surrounded by hundreds of menacing-looking black orcs, Sejun remained utterly calm, exchanging words and jests with Theo. He seemed completely at ease. But Sejun had reasons to be confident. His armor dragon warrior helmet, Kaiser's scales, and the power, indestructible body meant he had formidable defenses. Moreover, the fierce beast Kyungi was nearby. "Damn, how dare they call us fools!" "Attack those two." Just as the black orcs prepared to attack Sejun and Theo. "Soldiers, halt your attack, stop immediately." Following the soldiers from behind, Lucan recognized Theo, who was hanging on Sejun's knee, and shouted as he hurriedly approached. Then, thud. "Lord Theo, we have committed a grave offense. Please forgive our impertinence." Lucan knelt and pleaded earnestly. "Lord Lucan, why?" As the soldiers were perplexed by Lucan's behavior. "You fools, show your respect. That is Theo Park, who bestowed the mark of the great black dragon upon our King Ulrich." Lucan shouted at the soldiers, reprimanding them. "What? Thud, thud. We pay our respects to Theo Park, the deadly yellow cat and a subordinate of the great black dragon. Please forgive our rudeness. The soldiers hurriedly knelt alongside Lucan, begging for forgiveness. Pew Hut Chairman Park, did you see, meow? They are indeed the subordinates of my subordinates, meow. Seeing the black orcs change in attitude, Theo bragged. Indeed, it's true. Sejun looked at the over 300 black orcs with delight. They seemed strong and capable. Pew Hut, I had instructed them to set up a farm on the 41st floor, so these black orcs even know farming, meow. As if reading Sejun's thoughts, Theo commented. Oh, even a farm. Pew Hut, how that, meow. Quite impressive. Praise me some more, meow. Thus, upon receiving Sejun's praise, Theo puffed up with pride. But haven't you guys heard the latest news, meow? Suddenly, Theo began to berate Lucan. Huh, what do you mean? Now, I am Theo Park, the deadly yellow cat with the dragon's claw and subordinate of the great black dragon, meow. Ping! Theo flaunted his claw and made Lucan memorize his new introduction. Oh, the great black dragon personally bestowed his claw upon you, Lord Theo. That's truly remarkable. Pew Hut, that's right, meow. I received it after accomplishing a great feat, meow. As Theo enjoyed Lucan's admiration. Krung! Is Dad okay? Kyungi suddenly emerged from the ground, asking the question. The suspicious monsters surrounding the persimmon farm had caused the moles to move through their tunnels. Yes, there was a slight misunderstanding, but it's resolved now. Sejun reassured Kyungi while patting its head. Did you teach all the moles? Krung Krung. Yes, they are currently trying out planting. Then you've taught them well. Good job, Kyungi. Sejun patted Kyungi's back in praise. KQAH. Delighted by Sejun's praise, Kyungi gently hugged Sejun's leg and presented its back for more affection, eager for more praise. Then, tat-a-tat. From a distance, the sound of something rapidly approaching was heard. And we pay our respects to the great black dragon, Lord Sejun. The black wolves ran swiftly and bowed before Sejun. They had been tracking the scent of the three-head society, but had quickly come back after detecting Sejun's scent. Why are you all here? Sejun was puzzled to see the black wolves, who he thought were tracking the hunters who stole the sturdy blade green onion on the 49th floor of the tower. We were pursuing the three-head society. The three-head society. Yes, the three-head society is. The black wolves explained the information they had learned from Han Taejun to Sejun. So, you're saying the three-head society is formed by hunters from the mafia, triads, and yakuza? Sejun asked with a trembling voice. Everyone on Earth knew about them due to their infamous brutality, widely publicized by the media. Am I really involved with those cruel bastards? Sejun was genuinely scared. Even though there were entities much scarier than the three-head society around Sejun, the unfamiliarity of the three-head society seemed more frightening to him. Krung Krung. Daddy's hand is sweaty. Are you feeling hot, Daddy? Seeing the sweat on Sejun's hand, Kyungi asked. No, I'm not hot. Swoosh swoosh. Sejun quickly wiped the sweat from his hands onto his pants when we greet the great black dragon. Lucan and the black orcs quickly bowed to Sejun. Shiver, shiver, shiver. They hadn't realized that the being next to Theo was the great black dragon and became scared looking at Sejun. Merely upsetting the great black dragon could lead to death. They only hoped that the dragon's anger wouldn't be directed towards their entire race. Then, thump, thump, thump. From afar, with tremendous vibration, an army of 2 million black orcs approached, brandishing Theo's replicated flag of a black dragon tattoo and footprints. Chairman Park, the largest black orc leading the army is my subordinate, Ulrich Meow. Theo boasted as he pointed out Ulrich leading the charge. Thump. I greet the great black dragon. I am Ulrich, the subordinate of Theo Park and king of the black orcs. As Ulrich bowed to Sejun. Thump thump. We greet the great black dragon. The following 2 million black orcs shouted in unison as they also bowed. Well, chills ran down Sejun's spine from the soldiers' shouts. It seemed silly now that he had been fearing the three-head society. And then, right, people on Earth might not know, but in this tower. Sejun realized his position in the tower. In the tower, the three-head society was far too insignificant to be feared. Black orcs, listen, Sejun confidently shouted. Yes, the black orcs responded powerfully. We start farming now. Why no response? Yes, farming is about speed. The sooner you plant, the sooner you can harvest. Sejun had planned to sow the seeds of sturdy green onions tonight, now that a portion of the farm was ready. And before him now stood 2 million workers skilled in farming. With this many, they could easily establish hundreds of thousands of fields in a day. While the wolves tracked the three-head society, Sejun would farm with the black orcs. When they found the three-head society's location, they could mobilize their forces. He couldn't let such good workers sit idle. We'll continue to track the scent of the three-head society. Okay, eat this in the meantime. Thank you. Sejun provided some snacks to the wolves and turned to Ulrich. You guys know how to farm, right? Sejun asked Ulrich. Yes, boys, show Lord Sejun our farming skills. Yes. The black orcs began to move quickly. What are you planting? Sejun looked at the black orcs with eager eyes, hoping they had some new seed. But then, seeing the black orcs burying a young black orc into the ground, he felt that something was wrong. Ulrich, what are you doing? We're planting young black orcs. When grown in the ground, they can harness the power of the earth. What? The stone he stumbled upon turned out to be a diamond. The young black orcs, when buried, absorbed the earth's energy, gaining the ability to harden their bodies with its power. As a result, Ulrich actively recommended planting young black orcs. Sigh, everyone stop what you're doing. Sejun sighed and spoke. Great black dragon, why? Did we do something wrong? Ulrich looked worriedly at Sejun as he ordered them to stop. That's not what I meant by planting. Kyungi, teach the black orcs how to plant as well. Krung krung. Understood, black orcs follow Kyungi. Kyungi began teaching the black orc soldiers how to sow seeds. At that moment, Chairman Park, give Ulrich a mark too, meow. Theo asked Sejun to give Ulrich a mark. Theo felt sorry seeing a black dragon tattoo imprinted on Ulrich's forehead, right along with his own footprint, and wanted to use this chance to erase it. A mark. Sejun, who was already thankful to Ulrich for happily mobilizing 4 million troops while discussing with the wolves and tracking the three-head society, asked. All right, Ulrich, follow me. Yes. Sejun beckoned Ulrich aside. Then, lie down. Yes. On Ulrich's forehead, he placed a scale of Kaiser and began engraving the mark of the black dragon. This time, the mark wasn't a mere copy, so instead of Theo's paw, the dragon tattoo covered the entire head based on Ulrich's own power. Pew Hu Hut, Ulrich, you should be very thankful to me, meow, understand, meow. Theo, apart from his feelings of guilt, seemed extremely pleased. Thud. Thank you, Lord Sejun, Lord Theo. I, Ulrich, pledge my loyalty to you until my last breath. Ulrich, who had received the genuine mark of the black dragon, made a heartfelt vow of loyalty with his eyes full of gratitude to Sejun and Theo, bowing deeply. All right, we'll be counting on you. After engraving the mark on Ulrich and discussing various matters with him for a few hours, Sejun, who had risen to treat the persimmon tree, asked, Ah, by the way, how did you know the three-head society was on the 49th floor and pursued them? He remembered the question he meant to ask the wolves earlier and posed it to Ulrich. The three-head society must have been hunters, so to move between floors, they would have to use waypoints. Sejun couldn't understand how the wolves had managed to track the scent of the three-head society. We came up through a secret passage. A secret passage? Yes. Ulrich explained about the secret passage he discovered while tracking the Three-Head Society. So you're saying there are two secret passages connecting the 49th floor with the 39th floor, and the 39th floor with the 33rd floor that even hunters can use? Yes. To think that such a secret passage existed. Sejun's heart raced. If the Three-Head Society used the passage to ascend, it meant he could use it to descend. This implies he could meet other hunters. Ulrich, guide me to the secret passage right away. Understood. Ulrich began preparations to leave with a few of his subordinates. Kyungi. Sejun also called Kyungi, his bodyguard. The black orcs had already learned planting techniques from Kyungi and were diligently planting green onion seeds. And just as they were about to head to the secret passage, Lord Sejun, we've found it. The Black Wolves had located the Three-Head Society's hideout sooner than expected. Chapter 173. Secret Hideout of the Three-Head Society on the 49th floor of the tower. Master Akihiro, it's urgent. What is it? A long-haired man in light clothing, wearing just his bottoms and a sword on each side of his waist, looked at his subordinate with an exhausted voice. On the left side of the man's chest, a distinct black tattoo of three snakes forming a circle was visible. Uniquely, only one of the snakes had golden eyes. The secret hideout on the 33rd floor is under attack. The 33rd floor? Why would that be urgent? The 33rd floor's hideout is a heavenly fortress. No one can enter. The situation is not as simple. The hideout has been surrounded by 2 million black orcs. What, 2 million? Ha ha ha. Then that Pablo guy must be having a hard time. As Akihiro said, the hideout on the 33rd floor, located on a narrow cliff top, was an impregnable fortress, even capable of facing millions with just 100 members. Especially near the top, the cliff's slope exceeded 90 degrees, reaching around 150 degrees, making it impossible to climb without a magic elevator from the hideout. If they held their ground, the enemies would have no choice but to retreat. However, the situation isn't as optimistic as we hoped. What do you mean? The crazy black orcs are trying to topple the cliff by digging at its base. These enemies were beyond their understanding. What? They're doing such a crazy thing? Yes. They can still use parachutes to escape, right? That's also difficult. Why? The 200 black wolves accompanying the black orcs are pursuing and capturing the hunters trying to escape by parachute. They might even have learned the locations of other hideouts from the captured hunters. Damn it, quickly prepare all our forces. We need to reinforce the hideout on the 33rd floor. The 33rd floor was a crucial facility for the Three-Head Society. If it fell, all their plans would be set back. Still, moving all our forces is. It's okay. Did you forget what kind of place this is? At Akihiro's words, the subordinate seemed convinced. This hideout was almost plastered with deadly traps. According to the trap setter, some traps were lethal even to the monsters of the 70th floor. If the enemies came here, it would become hell for them. I'll relay your orders, Master Akihiro. But as the subordinate turned around to convey Akihiro's orders, boom! A massive explosion from above caused the ceiling to collapse, burying the secret hideout of the Three-Head Society. This is the entrance. Sejun, guided by the black wolves, asked upon reaching the dark entrance of a cave. Yes, it is. I don't feel like going in. Places like this often had many traps, and who knows if it might collapse. Chairman Park, don't go in, meow. I have a bad feeling. And with Theo also advising against it. Kyungi, it's time for the giant superhero landing attack. Sejun decided to just bring down the enemy's hideout and then search. Although it was an inefficient approach, it was the safest for Sejun. With Kyungi's excellent sense of smell and the wolves around, they could speed up the search. Krung. Got it. Boom. Upon hearing Sejun's words, Kyungi excitedly jumped and expanded midair. Sejun rarely let him unleash his full power. In an instant, the 27 m tall Kyungi, after expanding to a height of 100 m, majestically performed a superhero landing about 500 m away from the cave entrance. Boom! With a tremendous sound, the ground within a 100 m radius of Kyungi sank about 20 m. Then, crash! The force of Kyungi's landing caused a second collapse, sinking the ground in a 500 m radius around Kyungi. Kroong! Dad, was Kyungi awesome? From the center of the sunken ground, Kyungi raised his fist and shouted triumphantly to Sejun. Thumbs up! Sejun gave a thumbs up to praise Kyungi. No words were needed. Our son is the best. Kyuiha! But as Kyungi was dancing in delight from Sejun's praise, flash! A golden light burst from the ground. And then, crash! A blood-covered golden snake emerged from the ground. Kyungi, catch it! Sejun shouted, feeling that he shouldn't let it escape. Kroong! Understood. Bang! Kyungi's foot pressed down on the snake's head, pinning the golden snake to the ground. Creak! The golden snake writhed, trying to free itself from Kyungi's foot, but his foot was firm. Hiss! The golden snake changed its strategy and coiled around Kyungi's leg, trying to squeeze him, but Kyungi remained unaffected. Moments later, thud! The struggling snake went limp and collapsed. Kroong! It fainted. As Kyungi picked up the limp golden snake to hand over to Sejun. Flash! With a burst of golden light, the golden snake turned to dust and began to disintegrate. Kroong! By the time Kyungi first stepped on the snake's head, its skull had already been crushed, and it was already dying. Clink! Something fell to the ground as the golden snake disappeared entirely. Then, Guard Kyungi has defeated the seventh head of the snake, Hydra, 10th apostle of destruction that infiltrated the Black Tower. You've gained 10 million experience points, 50% of the experience points earned by Guard Kyungi. A message appeared announcing the experience gained. Apostles of Destruction, Hydra. Sejun was puzzled by these unfamiliar terms when level up. Acquired 1 bonus stat. Level up. Acquired 1 bonus stat. Level up. Acquired 1 bonus stat. Sejun had leveled up 3 times and reached level 60, all thanks to the immense amount of experience he gained. A quest has been generated. Job quest, sprout 10 million seeds. Rewards, unlock level 61, 500,000 tower coins, and a job combat skill. Upon reaching level 60, a new job quest appeared. Sprouting 10 million seeds seemed like a colossal task, but Sejun wasn't focused on that. He was excited about the rewards. Job combat skill. Who would have thought that even a tower farmer job would have a combat skill? Sejun was thrilled at the thought of finally having his own combat skill. Then, achievement unlocked. You've achieved the feat of being the first tower farmer to defeat an apostle of destruction in combat. You've received the title, Hunter of Destruction. Although Kyungi did all the fighting, because Kyungi was Sejun's guard, the merit of defeating the golden snake was credited to Sejun. Oh, Hunter of Destruction. The title alone sounded impressive. Kroong! Daddy, Kyungi found this. Kyungi handed Sejun a bronze-colored coin that the golden snake had dropped. On one side of the coin was a snake with 9 heads, and on the other was the number 7. What's this? Sejun examined the coin. Hydra's 7th bronze coin. The coin could not be appraised, so no details were provided. Aileen, can you appraise this? The tower's administrator says, leave it to her. 10 minutes later. The tower's administrator says she cannot appraise this item as it came from outside the tower. She says she will consult with his grandfather and asks you to wait. All right. Sejun thought that if even Kaiser needed to see the item, it might take some time. Guys, for now, check if there's anything suspicious around. Sejun ordered the wolves to scout the area, as they couldn't just wait idly by for Aileen. Yes. The wolves rushed to the ground where Kyungi was and began sniffing for scents. The black orcs followed them. Soon, we smell something here. Dig here. Whenever the black wolves found a scent, the black orcs dug up the ground to investigate. While the black wolves and black orcs were searching the collapsed three-head society. I should plant green onions here. Having nothing else to do, Sejun decided to plant green onions in the area. Krung. Daddy, it's done. At Sejun's request, Kyungi diligently prepared the soil for farming. Sejun could also use his skills to prepare the soil, but he wanted to save his magic power and thus asked Kyungi. Good job, land moving. Sejun scattered 500 seeds of the sturdy blade green onions on the field and swung the miler's hoe, and used his skill. Swish. You've planted 500 seeds of sturdy blade green onions in the magic power-infused soil. Due to the effect of magic seed sowing LV. 6. The chances of the sturdy blade green onions taking root increases. Due to the effect of magic seed sowing LV. 6. The growth speed of the sturdy blade green onions increases for 24 hours. 999. 500 times remaining to complete the job quest. Great! In a single scoop, 500 seeds were planted. Only 20,000 times more to complete the job quest. Of course, Sejun would probably pass out from magic power exhaustion before that. Krung. It's all done. Yes, land moving. Thus, as Kyungi made the fields and Sejun continued to plant seeds, when about 20,000 seeds were planted. The tower's administrator says the appraisal is complete. The tower's administrator, along with Grandpa Kaiser and Grandpa Kellyan, appraised it, but it's not perfect. Along with Aileen's message, a coin appeared in Sejun's hand. Hydra's 7th bronze coin. Right arrow, the aura of the world swallowed by the 7th head of Hydra, the 9-headed snake, holding the 10th seat among the 12 apostles of destruction, can be faintly felt. Right arrow, there isn't enough information, and some details are still undisclosed. Right arrow usage limit. Right arrow creator, apostle of destruction, 10th seat, 9-headed snake, Hydra. Right arrow grade. But Aileen, what's this apostle of destruction? The tower's administrator says that the apostles of destruction are beings who have directly received power from destruction, and even the grandpas don't know much about them. Really? Being unknown even to the dragons, Sejun felt chills all over his body. He wondered what would have happened if Kyungi hadn't taken the first strike earlier. What would we have done without our Kyungi? Suddenly, Kyungi looked very adorable to him. Have a snack, Kyungi. As Sejun took out honey and sweet potatoes from the storage. Krung krung. It's snack time, exciting. Kyungi, who had been shoveling the soil with his front paws, hurriedly ran over on all fours. And then, Krung. Kyungi has taken his seat. Kyungi sat politely in front of Sejun, waiting for his snack. Cute, so adorable, heh. Here, eat a lot. Sejun brought out a jar of honey and even the saved banana. Krung. Thank you for the snack. Kyungi started to eat the honey and other foods hastily. As Sejun was watching Kyungi eat with contentment. Chairman Park, did you forget something, meow? Theo called Sejun in a displeased tone. It wasn't mealtime yet, but Kyungi was fed first, which seemed to upset him. What did I forget? Sejun replied as if he didn't know anything. Meanwhile, with his right hand, he secretly opened the lid of a jar. It was tuna porridge made as a tonic for Theo, a homemade treat. I'm disappointed, meow. How could you forget, meow, meow? Theo, with a sad expression, spoke to Sejun, then sniffed. Sniff, sniff. He smelled something delicious. Pew hut, Chairman Park, what is it, meow? What have you hidden, meow? Bring it out quickly, meow. Theo, unable to hide his laughter, laid down on Sejun's lap and acted cute. All right, Theo, let's eat something delicious too. Sejun scooped out the tuna porridge he had hidden and put it in a small plate for Theo. Meow, I always believed in Chairman Park, meow. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Theo began to eat the tuna porridge enthusiastically. There was a hint of moistness in his eyes. This guy lying. Sejun pretended to pat Theo's head, but actually wiped away the moisture from his eyes. On day 319 of being stranded, despite meeting the Apostle of Destruction, it was an uneventful day. Chapter 174. 99th floor of the Black Tower. How can the Apostle of Destruction enter the tower? I thought the Apostle of Destruction only appears when the Black Moon has fully arrived. Kaiser and Kellyan were having a serious conversation over drinks. More than that, Kellyan, did you feel something from the bronze coin? Yes, I felt the energy of a place called Elysian. Elysian was the name of a world that the White Tower failed to protect about 1,000 years ago. Kellyan, you felt the energy of Elysian. Kaiser, did you feel the energy of somewhere else? Yes, I felt the energy of Orton. Orton was a world that the Black Tower failed to protect 1,500 years ago. They hadn't expected the Apostles of Destruction to be directly absorbing the energy of the destroyed worlds. If we defeat the Apostle of Destruction, perhaps we can liberate the energy of the world he consumed and recreate the destroyed world. Kellyan, what do you think? It's a possibility, but did the Apostle of Destruction invade other towers as well? Kellyan started to worry about the White Tower. I'm not sure. Maybe the seventh head of Hydra got lucky, or there's a way to enter without being detected by the tower. We should inspect the tower just in case. Just a moment. Before Kaiser could hold him back, the white dragon statue stopped. Darn, I wanted to boast about Sejun's accomplishments, HMPH, fine. Kaiser drank alone, regretting not being able to boast about the feats Sejun achieved. Thud. The black orcs brought up objects they dug from the ground. Fragments of swords, shields, armors, etc. Most were broken, indicating the strength of Kyungi's attack. Only a small amount of tower coins, worth a few thousand, could be salvaged. Sejun handed the small amount of money to the black wolves and the black orcs. Around the time when the search of the secret hideout of the Three-Head Society was about to end. Chairman Park, hurry over here, meow. Theo, who had been wandering around out of boredom, suddenly called Sejun with an urgent voice. Vice Chairman Theo, could it be? Sensing something unusual about Theo's urgency, Sejun hurriedly asked. That's right, meow. My paw is being strongly drawn to something, meow. Theo extended his paw forward and exclaimed. Really, as expected, Vice Chairman Theo, where? Theo's emphasis on strongly made Sejun believe this was an opportunity to find a rare item. Pew hut over there, meow. Theo replied and clung to Sejun's knee. Now's the perfect time for him to show off. Pew hut, Chairman Park, hurry and move over there, meow. Following Theo's pointed paw, Sejun arrived at a cliff that had collapsed. Dig there, meow. Theo pointed to one side of the cliff. There. Are you doubting my paw, Chairman Park, meow? No, of course not, land moving. Sejun used Myler's hoe to start digging at the cliff upon seeing Theo's instant annoyance. Land moving. Land moving. After about 10 digs. Thud. Hug. The wall collapsed, revealing a small room behind it, and in the center of the room was a small wooden box. Sejun cautiously opened the box to find beans. Inside were 3 beans, each the size of a 501 coin. Sky-reaching bean. Plant it and in 7 days, it will grow tall enough to touch the sky. Right arrow, it has a short lifespan due to its rapid growth. Right arrow when consumed, height increases by 3 cm. Right arrow grade C. Why is this? This item was below grade B, not something that should be detected by Theo's paw. That's it. Munch munch. Gulp. Sejun was convinced that Theo's paw had made a mistake after he received Kaiser's claw. Nevertheless, he swallowed one of the sky-reaching beans. You have consumed the sky-reaching bean. Your height has increased by 3 cm. Sejun, who had always wanted to reach 180 cm in height, said, "Let's go." Having achieved his lifelong wish of reaching 180 cm, he consoled himself that it was a satisfactory outcome and took Theo outside. Although his clothes became a bit short, it was a small price to pay for seeing the world from 3 cm higher. Meow. Seeing Sejun's lackluster reaction, Theo looked at his own paw with a gloomy face. When they came out, whoosh, Theo suddenly felt a strong force tugging at his front paw. Meow, Chairman Park, the direction of the attraction has changed, meow. Theo suddenly stretched his front paw towards the sky and said, "What do you mean the direction suddenly changed?" "I don't know either, meow. Suddenly my front paw, meow." While speaking, Theo's body slightly lifted and then descended. An immense attraction. It was clear that this was an incredible item, and he seemed to understand why Theo's front paw didn't point straight to the sky but led them here first. It wasn't that Kaiser's claw broke it, but rather Theo's front paw got upgraded. Planting the sky-reaching beam to go to the sky, it had guided them to find an item that would allow them to ascend first. A strategy guide function was added to Theo's front paw. What? Why has Vice Chairman Theo's front paw performance improved so much? Pew hut, that's right, meow. Now that I am Vice Chairman Theo, my front paw has also grown, meow. Thanks to that, Theo's pride soared once again. We have to plant this first, right? Sejun planted the sky-reaching beam in the center of the field created by Kyungi. You have planted the sky-reaching beam in magic power-infused soil. Due to the effect of magic seed sowing LV. 6. The probability of the sky-reaching beam rooting increases. Due to the effect of magic seed sowing LV. 6. The growth speed of the sky-reaching beam increases for 24 hours. 9,984,499 times left until the job quest is completed. Whoosh! The beam grew at an astonishing speed, audible by the sound of its roots digging. Create thundercloud, rainfall. Sejun hurriedly created a small cloud to rain, just in case the sky-reaching beam dried up and died. And once the roots were firmly in place, let's go back for now. Knowing it would take time for the beanstalk to grow, Sejun decided to come back in a few days and return to the persimmon farm with his group. As they returned to the persimmon farm, even though it was past quitting time, the moles were seen diligently sowing seeds in the field with the black orcs. They are working hard, even forgetting to go home. Sejun looked at the moles with pride. However, sow non-stop for the great black dragon. Anyone slacking will have their back broken. Of course, who would dare to slack? If anyone does, I'll break their arms and legs too. Do. Upon closer inspection, the moles were working as if their lives depended on it due to the intimidating words of the black orcs. No matter how enjoyable the work, nothing beats going home after work. Everyone take a break. Sejun hurriedly stopped the work and sent the moles home from their hellish overtime. Feeling sorry for unintentionally making them work late, he gave them an additional 100 g of meat. We will go to the secret passage tomorrow. As it was getting late, Sejun decided to call it a day after dinner. Golden Bat, tell Ulrich we'll go to the secret passage tomorrow. Yes. The Golden Bat, which had been quietly hiding on Kyungi's back, quickly conveyed Sejun's words to Ulrich. A moment later, rumble. The busy movements of the black orcs could be heard. Where are you guys going? When Sejun asked Ulrich, who was leading the black orcs, we're going hunting. Hunting? Yes, please wait a moment. The scouts say they've found a giant mole guarding the waypoint. A giant mole guarding the waypoint, that's Dooku. Wait, everyone stop. Sejun quickly halted the black orcs. What's the matter? Did we do something wrong? Ulrich asked, observing Sejun's reaction. Ulrich, hunting is prohibited here. Come to think of it, to feed so many black orcs, hunting was the only way. And if they hunted in the 49th floor, the prey would inevitably be the moles, which meant fewer workers for Sejun's farm in the future. It was like cannibalizing their own resources. He had to prevent this. Then what should we? The black orcs couldn't be left starving, so a plan was needed. Sejun naturally had a plan. I'll provide dinner. Clank. Sejun opened the void storage. You're personally offering this, Lord Sejun? Yes, crop gigantification. As Sejun responded, he used his skill on a power sweet potato, which grew to a size of 3 meters in an instant. How can this be? Ulrich was astonished, as if he had witnessed a great miracle. Heliha with just this. Externally, Sejun pretended to be nonchalant, but internally, he was quite pleased. Here, as Sejun handed the giant sweet potato to Ulrich, and was about to enlarge another sweet potato. Krung. Kyungi is hungry. Kyungi stretched out his front paw to Ulrich, asking for the giant sweet potato. Well, of course, Lord Kyungi, please eat. Ulrich courteously handed over the giant sweet potato to Kyungi. Ulrich was convinced that Kyungi was a hatchling. After all, the only being that could call the great black dragon, Sejun, father was his offspring, a hatchling. And recalling Kyungi's enormous superhero landing attack that destroyed the secret hideout of the Three-Head Society earlier, Ulrich began to regard Sejun with even more reverence. If a casual jump attack from a hatchling was that powerful, then Sejun would be. Krung. Thank you. While Kyungi energetically ate the sweet potato, Sejun enlarged other crops like potatoes and corn and distributed them to the black orcs. By the time he enlarged roughly 15,000 crops, using crop gigantification on stamina corn. The corn's inherent magic is forcibly channeled into its growth. Your proficiency in crop gigantification LV3 has slightly increased. Your proficiency in crop gigantification LV3 is filled and the level increases. The crop gigantification skill level increased to level 4, and a new effect was added to the skill. There's a 10% chance that the crop's enlarged size will be tripled. Thanks to this, the work was completed faster. Once the black orcs were provided with food. Chairman Park, I'm hungry, meow. I want the churu that Chairman Park sincerely made specifically for me, meow. Theo, who had been waiting for Sejun to finish, requested tuna porridge. Okay. Feeling proud when Theo specifically requested his homemade tuna porridge, Sejun quickly retrieved a jar of tuna porridge from the void storage. Here, he poured it into a small dish and handed it to Theo. Slurp, slurp. While Theo was eating the tuna porridge, Sejun also had his late dinner. Then, tiptoe, tiptoe. Lick, lick. Suddenly, Kyungi, who had sneaked up quietly, was fervently eating from Theo's jar of tuna porridge. Kyuhehe krung. Kyuhehe. Big Brother's food is so delicious that Kyungi can't resist eating it secretly. Kyungi, who had merrily eaten all of Theo's tuna porridge, was trying to sneak away. He had aimed for a perfect crime, but... Krung krung. Kyungi's face is stuck. Upon finishing and trying to pull his face out, Kyungi found it trapped in the jar. Krung. Kyungi is in big trouble. Chairman Park, Kyungi is eating my churu, meow. And so, Kyungi was easily caught. It seemed detective work was more suited for Kyungi. Chapter 175. The next morning. When Sejun woke up and went outside in the morning, he noticed places that had not yet been tilled were severely dug up. Did Toryong do this? Sejun assumed it was Toryong's doing and hurriedly prepared breakfast. Today was the day they planned to go to the secret passage. He couldn't wait to check out the secret passage. Let's eat. After breakfast, Sejun arrived in front of the secret passage they had used, guided by Ulrich. This is the secret passage. Sejun looked at the entrance of the passage with a distasteful expression. He imagined something like a cave for a secret passage. However, Red Linjin. What stood before Sejun was a huge red flower with its mouth wide open. The true nature of the passage was a plant monster called Linjin, which grew by piercing through dimensions. Puhu Hut, Chairman Park, is this your first time seeing it, meow? Let me explain about the Linjin, meow. Seeing that Sejun seemed unfamiliar, Theo confidently stepped forward. And then, okay, meow, listen closely, meow. There are 5 types of Linjins, meow. White, yellow, red, green, Theo, who was confidently explaining with his hand on his hip, suddenly paused, struggling to remember the last color. Then, Lord Theo Park, it's blue. Lucan, who had followed them, quietly added, but given the loud voice of the black orcs, Sejun heard it clearly too. Yes, it's blue, meow. Depending on its color, the Linjin's passage length, speed of movement, and transport capacity vary, meow. And Theo continued his explanation, seemingly excited to share something Sejun didn't know. However, his explanation was all over the place and often incomplete, so Lucan kept quietly correcting him, loud enough for everyone to hear. According to Theo and Lucan, Linjins are rare in the market and often sell for high prices. Linjins are typically used by criminal gangs or smuggling organizations. For reference, the merchant passages of the Wandering Merchant Association were created by analyzing the structure and principles of Linjin. Lucan added, "That's right, meow. When a Linjin sprouts, you can detach a leaf and plant it where you want to connect, and its stem will find the leaf and create a passage, meow." Theo started talking again whenever he recalled a fact, even if he had just been listening to Lucan. Pew Hugh Hut. Lastly, the Lightspeed Merchant Passage that the elite Wandering Merchant Theo Park, use, is even better than the best white Linjin, meow. Theo concluded, boasting about himself. It felt like he had given all the previous explanations just to lead up to this statement. But can anyone use the Linjin, even if they weren't born in the tower? No, that's what's strange. Humans can't use the Linjin. Really? Upon hearing Theo's response, Sejun approached the entrance of the secret passage, thinking he would understand better by experiencing it himself. As Sejun approached, thunk, the Linjin closed its mouth, blocking Sejun's entry. However, Kyungi, open this for me. Fortunately for Sejun, he had the all-purpose opener Kyungi. Krung. Understood. Squeak. With its 2 front paws, Kyungi forcibly pried open the Linjin's entrance. Krung. Daddy, Kyungi opened it for you. Thanks. Just as Sejun was about to enter the passage, the tower's administrator says you must not enter. Aileen stopped Sejun. Aileen, why? I was just going to take a look. The tower's administrator says. Aileen explained the reason why Sejun shouldn't enter. So, only those fully recognized by the tower can use the passage without any risk. The tower's administrator says that's why there's a separate waypoint that only hunters use. Sejun fell deep into thought. According to Aileen's explanation, when using the Linjin or any other passage, one temporarily exits the tower. Those recognized by the tower can use the passage without issue. However, beings that can return to Earth like humans would actually end up outside the moment they use the passage to exit the tower. Thereafter, it's either certain death or, if they're lucky, they end up outside the actual body of the tower, on the front lines fighting against destruction, a place where Sejun wouldn't survive. So how did the criminal organization Three-Head Society manage to use it? The tower's administrator says she couldn't be sure of the reason, but it might have something to do with the Apostles of Destruction. That's too bad. Sejun looked disappointedly and carefully inspected the flower of Linjin. Are there no seeds? He had intended to plant a seed from the Linjin flower, but not only were there no seeds, there wasn't even any fruit. Swish, swish. Unable to find any, Sejun cut a few petals. I wonder if it's edible. He was considering checking if it was edible. That's how Sejun ended up cutting the petals of the Linjin flower and returned to his persimmon farm. 33rd floor of the tower. It's collapsing. Get out of the way. The black orcs, who had been tirelessly digging into the cliff, shouted in haste and dispersed. And then, boom! A stone pillar began to tilt and collapse. Simultaneously, a few parachutes unfolded from the hideout of the Three-Head Society. Wolves chase the parachutes. Black orcs surround the enemy's hideout. Yes. Upon Black Wolf Chief Hegel's command, the Black Wolves and Black Orcs swiftly moved into action. At that moment, bang! With a loud blast, a ball of fire shot towards the entrance of the secret passage from the Three-Head Society's hideout. Inside the ball of fire was a silhouette of a person. It was Pablo, the manager of the secret hideout. After him, Hegel chased after the fireball with 5 wolves. Boom! You bastards, just wait and see. Pablo, after landing on the ground in fury, hastily entered the secret passage, deliberately emitting a strong smell of fire. Come to the 49th floor of the tower. Pablo intended to lure the enemies to the 49th floor, a secret hideout managed by Akihiro and filled with deadly traps, with the intention of killing them all. Yawned. After having lunch and a long nap upon his return from the secret passage, Sejun stretched as he woke up. And then, Gororong, Kurorong, gurgle. Kids, wake up. He woke up Theo, Kyungi, and the Golden Bat. However, yes, only the Golden Bat responded to Sejun's call immediately. Theo and Kyungi showed no reaction. No choice then. Golden Bat, come here, I'll give you a massage. Sejun decided to give massages while waiting for the others to wake up. Yes, sounds good. The Golden Bat swiftly flew onto Sejun's palm. Stretch, stretch. Sejun held the wings of the Golden Bat and stretched them. Gently, gently. And gently massaged its legs. It feels good. As Sejun continued massaging the Golden Bat. Kroong. Kyungi, who had been leaning against Sejun's back, drowsily rolled over in front of him. And then, Kroong. Daddy, Kyungi wants a massage too. Kyungi laid down in front of Sejun, wanting a massage. All right, I'll give you a growth massage. Stretch, stretch. Sejun stretched Kyungi's legs and body, though it seemed ineffective due to his lack of strength. However, Kyungi was just happy to play with his dad. After about 10 minutes of massaging. What, meow? The last one woke up Theo, who felt left out because only Kyungi received attention. Chairman Park, massage me too, meow. Theo laid down on Sejun's lap, waiting for his turn. All right. Sejun responded, grabbing Theo's 2 front paws and lifting them. Stretching out Theo's body like a glutinous rice cake. And then, shake, shake. Sejun shook Theo back and forth, moving towards the persimmon farm. Meow, Chairman Park, this doesn't feel like a massage, meow. No, it's also a massage. Really, meow, then keep going, meow. All right. Shake, shake. Theo found it amusing and let himself be completely controlled by Sejun's hands. Kroong. Kyungi is jealous of Big Brother. Kyungi looked at Theo with envy. Sejun was too weak to shake him like that. Hut, don't worry, meow. I'll find something with my paws to strengthen Chairman Park's strength, meow. Theo, as the older sibling, comforted Kyungi. Kroong. Really? Hut, trust your big brother, meow. As Theo was reassuring Kyungi, Sejun arrived at the persimmon farm. Farmer's Warm Touch LV4 is activated. The roots of the persimmon tree heal a little while touched. Sejun began healing the persimmon tree. Theo clung to Sejun's knee again, while Kyungi searched the surroundings for something to eat. And, massage, stretch, stretch, the wings feel refreshed, tilde. The Golden Bat, which was singing to help Sejun invigorate the persimmon tree. As each of them diligently went about their tasks. Guard Golden Bat has awakened a new talent, Plant Healing Singer. A message appeared before Sejun. Plant Healing Singer. Upon seeing the message, Sejun looked at the Golden Bat. I'm the 5th Golden Bat, and our youngest is a 22-year-old Toriong tilde. The Golden Bat was passionately singing a song it had written and composed. Then, Sejun noticed a yellow glow shimmering on the branches of the persimmon trees near the golden bat. And swoosh! From the branches with the yellow glow emerged green leaves. Although there were only one or two leaves, it was an incredible sight to see leaves sprouting from the previously withered trees. The golden bat's song had a better healing effect than Sejun's skill. Thanks to it, Sejun finished healing the persimmon tree much faster and could now focus on establishing a sturdy blade green onion farm. However, after 3 days, they ran out of seeds to plant more sturdy blade green onions. This was because they had planted seeds on a large scale, thanks to the black orcs. Once these grow, we should be able to harvest enough sturdy blade green onions to cover the entire earth, right? Sejun said, as he watered the field where he had sown the seeds. Then, Kroong, when is Dad going home? Kyungi approached and asked, seemingly missing his mother. We'll be going back soon. Do you miss Mom? Kroong. No, Kyungi can wait. Kyungi nodded vigorously, though it was evident he was putting on a cheerful face for Sejun's sake. Seeing his reaction, Sejun felt they should head back soon. Pack up, guys, let's head home. Using a waypoint would make the journey quick. Ulrich, I'll be going back to the 99th floor of the tower for a bit. Please look after this place. Understood, leave it to me. All right, make sure to let the moles leave on time. Got it. Sejun repeatedly emphasized that the moles should leave work punctually, fearing they might not make it home again. As they headed toward the waypoint to the 99th floor. Meow meow meow. Kroong. Pip pip. The animals were happily humming, looking forward to returning home. Then, a person. From the opposite side, a man with brown hair and a mustache approached. Held. Just as Sejun was about to greet the fellow human he hadn't seen in a long time. Die. Without any warning, the man attacked Sejun. Kroong. Kyungi wants to go home quickly. Don't get in the way or Kyungi will get mad. Bam! Kyungi, agitated by the interference, punched the man. And then, whoosh! How dare you, do you know who I am? The man struck by Kyungi transformed into a huge red snake, engulfed in flames. It was the third head of Hydra, which had been hiding in Pablo's body from the 33rd floor of the tower. Chapter 176. We've arrived. Pablo, who used the secret passageway on the 39th floor of the tower, arrived at the 49th floor. They're following well, aren't they? Pablo looked at the entrance of Linjin from which he had emerged. Ensuring the black wolves could follow, he deliberately moved slowly. Then, he noticed that some of the petals of the Linjin were cut off. It was the mark of Sejun cutting it with his dagger, wanting to taste it. What could it be? The thought crossed Pablo's mind that perhaps they had already discovered the secret base on the 49th floor. However, he wasn't too worried since the secret base on the 49th floor couldn't be destroyed as easily as the one on the 33rd floor. Let's go and see. So Pablo headed towards the secret base managed by Akihiro. Then, Akihiro. Pablo felt the aura of Akihiro approaching him. However, meow meow meow. Kroong. Pip pip. In front of Pablo appeared a cat, a bear, a bat, and a single hunter. And from the hunter he felt Akihiro's energy. To be precise, it was the bronze coin containing the energy of the 7th head of Hydra. Akihiro is dead. Pablo quickly concluded. Naturally, anyone who killed Akihiro would be an enemy. Die. Without any hesitation, Pablo attacked Sejun, but Kroong. Bam! The bear beside the hunter countered with a punch, knocking Pablo down. Then, how dare you, do you know who I am? Left with no choice, the third head of Hydra, hiding inside Pablo, revealed itself. You have encountered the Apostle of Destruction. Title Hunter of Destruction is activated. Weakens the abilities of the Apostle of Destruction within 100 m by 20%. With the message, The flame and heat wrapped around by the red snake noticeably reduced. Another apostle of destruction. Sejun, looking at the red snake, spoke in an annoyed manner. He showed no fear. He had already seen how the golden snake was killed by Kyungi. The red snake would be no different. Create thundercloud, rainfall. Just in case, to prevent burns from the fire, he summoned rain to reduce the fire's intensity. Throw thunder. Boom, 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 boom. He launched a surprise attack using triple consecutive thunder throws, but whiz! The thunder was absorbed by the flames as if being devoured. As expected, Sejun's attack was ineffective. Bastard, how dare you insult me with such a pathetic attack? The red snake was furious at Sejun's attack. Insulted by a weak attack, Sejun was annoyed by the red snake's words. If it wanted a stronger attack, so be it. Kyungi, use Rising Dragon Fist. In the time it took for the red snake to divert its attention, Kyungi had moved right below the red snake, and Sejun shouted at it. Krung. Understood. Bam. At Sejun's command, Kyungi bent his knees and then jumped with great force, creating a massive hole in the ground. And then, Krung. Kyungi won't let you bully Daddy. Bam. Kyungi landed a powerful blow on the jaw of the red snake that had ignored Sejun. And that was the end. Thud. The red snake turned to dust and disappeared. Bam. Kyungi landed in a superhero stance, concluding the battle. Guard Kyungi has defeated the third head of Hydra, the snake with 9 heads, 10th apostle of destruction, that infiltrated the Black Tower. You've gained 10 million experience points, 50% of the experience points earned by Guard Kyungi. Regrettably, due to the job quest, he couldn't gain experience points. Good job, Kyungi. Sejun praised Kyungi and patted his head. Krung. If anyone bullies Daddy, Kyungi will punish them. Kyungi rubbed his head against Sejun's hand as it spoke. That's right, yes. Truly a filial child. Sejun proudly stroked Kyungi's head as the remains of the red snake turned completely to dust. Then, clink. Another bronze coin dropped just like before. Clack. Sejun picked up the fallen coin. On the front, like the coin he obtained before, was a hydra with 9 heads, and on the back, the number 3 was engraved instead of 7. Hydra's third bronze coin. Let's go. After checking the bronze coin, Sejun moved with the animals towards the waypoint. Stay inside for a moment. After letting the animals into the void storage, Sejun stood in front of the red crystal. Snap. As he touched the red crystal, loading other floors saved waypoint. A message appeared, and the accessible waypoints were displayed. Saved waypoints. 99th floor of the tower. 83rd floor of the tower. 77th floor of the tower. Sejun chose to move to the 99th floor. 33rd floor of the tower. Hegel noticed that Pablo, who had escaped through a secret passage, was moving as if blatantly inviting pursuit. Stop the chase here. Suspecting a trap, Hegel stopped the pursuit and thoroughly searched the enemy's hideout. Although most of it was destroyed when the cliff crumbled, some parts remained intact. During the search, Lord Hegel, it seems like we've found something. The wolves called out to Hegel. Where? Follow us, please. Led by the wolves, Hegel arrived at a spot where the black orcs were busily clearing away rocks. On these rocks, remnants of snakes that had been crushed and killed when the cliff collapsed were smeared everywhere. As they cleared a few more stones. What's this? Bodies of crushed snakes were revealed, and there were an enormous number of them, easily around 1 million. What were they doing with these snakes? Hegel was lost in thought. Then, Lord Hegel, may we eat these snakes? SSS slurp. A black orc, wiping his drool, cautiously asked Hegel. Behind the orc, black wolves and other black orcs were watching Hegel with eager eyes. Phew, check if they have poison and then you may eat. Yay. At Hegel's permission, The black wolves and black orcs cheered. Thanks to the three-head society, they were able to continue the search happily while having a snake meat party. However, since Pablo had already destroyed all the important facilities of the 33rd floor before the cliff collapsed, the only things they obtained from days of searching were snake meat and a few items with a strange smell. Let's go back. Yes. The black wolves and black orcs, who had eaten their fill of snake meat, energetically responded to Hegel's words. Hegel then moved up the tower with his subordinates to join Ulrich. Thanks, Imuo. Sejun gave green onion leaves as a token of gratitude to the black minotaurs that had carried him from the waypoint to the farm. Upon arriving at the farm, Krung, Mommy Kyungi is here. Kyungi ran towards Pinkfur and threw himself at her. Kyuang. Pinkfur also spread her arms and welcomed Kyungi. It was a touching reunion between mother and child. Bang! Although a quite loud explosive sound was heard, Pinkfur easily absorbed Kyungi's charge and embraced him. Indeed, mothers are strong. Then, Hahalha our Sejun is back. Kaiser, who heartily welcomed Sejun, was grateful because Sejun had defeated the seventh head of Hydra, the Apostle of Destruction. Of course, the fact that the Makjiali was almost out also played a part. Yes, Kaiser, can you also appraise this too? Thinking that even if he left it to Aileen, it would eventually go to Kaiser, Sejun immediately showed Kaiser the new bronze coin he had acquired to avoid troubling Aileen. What? Another Apostle of Destruction appeared. When Sejun took out the new bronze coin that had not been appraised, Kaiser's expression stiffened. It was now clear that the Apostle of Destruction knew how to enter the tower. Yes, I encountered another one on my way here. Got it, rest for now, I'll appraise it shortly. Kaiser swallowed the bronze coin to begin the appraisal. Then, Flamey, have you been well? Sejun went down to the cave to greet Flamey. Master. Flamey fluttered its leaves and enthusiastically welcomed Sejun. Huh, you have an additional leaf. Sejun commented on the fourth leaf that had sprouted on Flamey's stem. Yes, look at this, ta-da. Flamey proudly shook its fourth leaf to show off. I want to grab it, meow. Vice Chairman Theo, no. When Theo tried to grab Flamey's leaf, Sejun hurriedly grabbed Theo. But what's the ability of the fourth leaf? It's quicker to show than to explain, yap. With Flamey's shout, the fourth leaf turned red, and the red flame seeped into Sejun's body. The flame of growth seeps in for 3 hours. The flame of growth boosts the potential that's reached its limit while it is active. Boosting potential. Hee, what do you think? Flamey seemed to lean towards Sejun, possibly seeking praise. It's awesome. While the effects remained to be seen, it was precisely the ability Sejun, who had hit a wall, needed. Pad. Sejun gently stroked Flamey's leaf that had done such a remarkable thing, and with the activation of the farmer's warm touch skill, the recovery speed of Flamey's leaves slightly increased. Hee, it feels good. As Sejun pampered Flamey. Chairman Park, do it for me too, meow. Theo, not wanting to be outdone by Flamey, confidently lay on Sejun's lap, presenting his belly. There are too many competitors these days, meow. Theo thought to himself as he contemplated his tiring life. All right. Sejun stroked Theo with his left hand and Flamey with his right hand, giving everyone a moment of healing time. About 3 hours later, the flame of growth is disappearing. The flame of growth increases the potential of the magic stat by 6. Magic stat potential rises to 105. Wow! The flame of growth had an effect. As Sejun was celebrating. Flap. Appraisal is done. Kaiser flew in and handed over a bronze coin. Thank you. When Sejun, who received the appraised bronze coin, was about to closely examine the coin. There's no significant difference from the previous one. Kaiser said. Is that so? Yes, more importantly, the situation isn't good. Just in case, carry this with you. Kaiser handed over a bracelet. It had a luxurious black gloss with gold characters engraved on it. Clearly, it was no ordinary item. "Thank you." Sejun promptly put on the bracelet given by Kaiser and checked its options. Bracelet of the Dragon's Return. Right Arrow, the great black dragon, Kaiser Pratani, has personally enchanted and crafted this from a piece of his own horn. Right Arrow, by infusing it with magic, the return magic spell can be activated, transporting up to 10 people to a designated place in the tower, regardless of any interference. Right Arrow can be used once a month. Right Arrow usage limit, Park Sejun, recognized by Kaiser Pratani. Right Arrow creator, Kaiser Pratani. Right Arrow grade, unmeasurable. Return. Sejun looked at Kaiser with a puzzled expression. An item made using a horn and only having a return spell. He had hoped for a more practical magic spell and was slightly disappointed. Of course, having a survival tool is good, but with Theo and Kyungi, he had no need to flee. Don't be complacent. The Apostle of Destruction you've defeated is just a small fragment of its main body. Perhaps reading Sejun's expression, Kaiser sternly warned. What, a fragment of the main body? Yes, it was ambiguous at first, but after another appraisal, I'm sure. The Apostles of Destruction are infiltrating the tower by separating their energy. While they can't deceive the tower with just that, if mixed with other energies, some camouflage would be possible. That means you might encounter a more powerful Apostle of Destruction. Gulp. A stronger enemy. Sejun swallowed hard at Kaiser's words. And then, Hame Chem, the Apostle of Destruction. From below, Flamey perked up its ears, listening to their conversation with interest. Chapter 177. Don't worry too much, it's just the worst-case scenario. Kaiser reassured Sejun, who looked tense. For the Apostle of Destruction to enter the tower, it needs to mix its own aura with another aura, and it won't be easy to find a strong aura that can sufficiently mix with the aura of the Apostle of Destruction. Just then, Kroong Kroong. Daddy, where are you? Kyungi is hungry. Having spent enough time with the pink fur, Kyungi started looking for Sejun. It was dinner time. Has it gotten this late already? Sejun quickly got up and headed to the kitchen. Then, I haven't had roasted sweet potatoes recently. Kaiser mumbled to himself, following Sejun, as if wanting someone to hear. Kroong. Daddy. On his way to the kitchen, Kyungi spotted Sejun and rushed towards him. Kyungi, are you hungry? Wait a bit. Kyungi's good, so you can wait patiently, right? Kroong Kroong. Kyungi is good and can wait patiently, but if you give me a snack, I can wait even better. Even though I'm good, when I'm hungry, I can become fierce. So, give me a snack. You had to interpret the baby beast's words correctly. Well, all right. Sejun took out a handful of chestnuts from the storage and placed them on Kyungi's front paws. Munch munch. Kyuehe Kroong. Hehe, now Kyungi can wait patiently. After eating half the chestnuts Sejun gave him, Kyungi wagged his tail and danced happily. That's baby beast's behavior when he's happy from eating something delicious, but it also means he gets hungry again quickly. Sejun had to hurry. Swoosh. Sejun quickly filled a pot with water and put it on the fire. Then, Sejun used the relic, wealth-devouring rice dough. He then quickly made dough and began steaming bixialgi, rice cake. Tatatata. Next, he chopped up locust meat and vegetables, added them to a new pot, and boiled them. Phew, now I just need to grill the fish. Taking a breather, Sejun skewered the fish on wooden sticks and began grilling. In the meantime, he also wrapped sweet potatoes in green onion leaves and put them on the fire, making roasted sweet potatoes for Kaiser. While Sejun was busy, the delicious aroma from the kitchen spread outside. And then, squeak. Ook. Rabbits and monkeys started hovering around the kitchen. They've been waiting for Sejun's cooking for days. Come in and eat this first. Sejun shared the freshly grilled fish with the rabbits and monkeys. It's delicious, meow. I'd give this fish grill a full score, meow. Of course, Theo, who was beside Sejun, also enjoyed the meal. While Sejun took out the finished rice cakes from the pot, let them cool, served the soup, and prepared for the final boss. Krung. Kyungi can't wait any longer. Just in time, Kyungi, about to get angry, entered the kitchen. All right, Mr. Kyungi, please take a seat here. Acting as a waiter, Sejun pulled out a chair for Kyungi. Kyum Krung. Ahem, bring me the dish you're most proud of. Kyungi immediately took on the role of a customer, sat down, and ordered. Sejun quickly placed the prepared dishes in front of Kyungi. The first dish was a cake-sized bixialgi. Glug glug glug. As a special touch, Sejun then poured 3 dollops of honey over the bixialgi for sweetness. Krung. This looks delicious. The sight of honey made Baby Beast cheer. In an instant, he went from being the fierce final boss to the cute Kyungi again. That's how Sejun satisfied Kyungi and then placed the soup and grilled fish in front of him. Now should I eat too? Sejun sat down and began his meal. After dinner, finish the dishes quickly, meow. Kyungi cleaned them better, meow. Under Theo's command, who wanted to quickly return to Sejun's lap, the animals washed the pots and dishes. Zip. Watching the animals, Sejun leisurely sipped a cup of coffee. It was a brief but sweet moment of rest. Then, squeak. The father rabbit approached Sejun. What is it? What's going on? Squeak. It's time to harvest the radishes, napa cabbages, and cucumbers. The father rabbit responded to Sejun's question. It was time to harvest the crops that had been planted before, and Father Rabbit had come to ask Sejun whether he should continue to nurture them for seeds or harvest them now. Really? Let's go and see. Sejun went with the Father Rabbit to the place where the crops were planted. Well, the first things that caught Sejun's eye were the fully grown cucumbers and plump napa cabbages. Thunk. Sejun plucked a cucumber first. You have obtained the agility cucumber. Your job experience has increased slightly. Your proficiency in harvesting LV7 has increased slightly. You have gained 50 experience points. Looks like it boosts the agility stat, huh? From its name, Sejun inferred the cucumber's ability and checked its detailed options. The cucumber had an effect that improved kidney function. Ah, delicious. Crunch. After quickly wiping the cucumber on his clothes, Sejun took a bite. It tasted fresh with a hint of sweetness. Here, you try some too. Sejun cut the cucumber in half and gave it to the father rabbit. Then, snap. Next, he sliced off the bottom of a napa cabbage. You have obtained the wind napa cabbage. Wind napa cabbage. Intrigued by the peculiar name, Sejun checked the napa cabbage's options. Wind napa cabbage. Right arrow, a napa cabbage grown inside the tower. It is full of nutrients and tastes delicious. Cultivated by a farmer familiar with farming, enhancing the napa cabbage's sweetness. Right arrow, upon consumption, affinity with wind attributes temporarily increases slightly. Right arrow, if digested, there's a chance to awaken intermediate or lower wind-related talents. Right arrow cultivator, tower farmer, Park Sejun. Right arrow expiration, 90 days. Right arrow grade, B. Oh, this is great. It seemed like a crop popular among mages using wind attributes. He felt he could sell it for a high price in Iona's wizard tower. While Sejun was considering how much to sell it for. Squeak. A noise came from below. Huh. Looking towards the sound, the father rabbit was gazing eagerly at the napa cabbage Sejun was holding. It must have looked delicious. Squish. Here. Sejun cut a napa cabbage leaf and gave it to the father rabbit. Squeak. Thank you. Crunch crunch. The father rabbit expressed gratitude and began eating the napa cabbage leaf fervently. Squish. Crunch crunch. Sejun also tasted a napa cabbage leaf. It was even sweeter than the cucumber. I should try the radish too. Pull. While eating the napa cabbage, Sejun reached for a radish next to him and pulled it out. It was a big radish, as big as his calf. You have obtained the stamina radish. Upon checking, the stamina radish had an effect that improved lung function. Chop chop. Here. Sejun sliced the radish and shared a piece with the father rabbit. Crunch. As he bit into the radish, a crunchy texture and a sweet, refreshing taste spread in his mouth. He couldn't help but imagine a refreshing radish soup and a mian-tang spicy fish stew. That sounds delicious. Sejun's mouth watered. Just then, Kyungi, look, Chairman Park is eating something by himself, meow. Theo, who was looking for Sejun on Kyungi's back, shouted upon seeing Sejun. And then, Krung, is Dad eating alone? Kyungi, with Theo on his back, charged towards Sejun. Fortunately, the sweetness of the cucumber, napa cabbage, and radish wasn't too strong, so Kyungi quickly lost interest after tasting them. Vice Chairman Theo, pack 20 radishes and 100 cucumbers in your bag. Got it, meow. Sejun instructed Theo to pack the cucumbers and radishes. He planned to sow the rest later. The reason Sejun asked Theo to pack the crops separately was that he intended to send him down soon to trade with the hunters. It was about time for Theo to get back to work. Meow. Theo looked a little sad, realizing this. Cheer up, Vice Chairman Theo. You'll be back soon, and I have to go back down anyway. Sejun had to return to the 49th floor of the tower to check on the sky-reaching beans he had planted. Although Theo would go down alone, when coming back up, he'd only need to travel from the 40th to the 49th floor. If he moved quickly, it was a distance that could be covered in less than an hour. Pew hut, all right, meow. Let's go to sleep now, meow. Realizing he wouldn't be away from Sejun's lap for too long, Theo's spirits lifted again. White Tower's administrator area. As soon as Kellyan arrived, he ordered the leaders of each floor to report any suspicious beings they had noticed recently. So, there have been reports of hunters with purple crystals embedded in their hands or foreheads recently. Kellyan received reports of these suspicious beings. From the moment he heard about the purple crystal, Kellyan instinctively felt it was connected to Violet, the crystal giant of destruction, who was located at the 11th seat among the 12 apostles of destruction. I will verify this myself. Kellyan went directly to the areas reported by the leaders where these suspicious entities' hideouts were located to confirm the facts. His mere presence implied a massacre. Kellyan warned others to avoid the area so that no other entities would be harmed. Upon Kellyan's arrival, merely releasing his aura killed every nearby being. It's been a while, Kellyan. A fragment of the crystal giant of destruction, Violet, revealed itself. Of course, since the fragment contained the aura of an apostle of destruction, Kellyan disposed of it easily. Clang! When the fragment of the apostle of destruction, Violet, was destroyed, a purple coin dropped. To think that there were as many as 5 apostles of destruction in our tower. Kellyan visited the suspicious areas and looked at the 5 purple coins he had acquired during the process, wearing a grave expression. The apostles of destruction had infiltrated the tower. And, Kekekek, wondering why we came into the tower. Obviously, it's for the tower's destruction. Their goal was the tower's destruction. The apostles of destruction intended to destroy the tower first, before the battle that would ensue when the black moon fully appeared. The next morning, blink, Sejun's eyes opened early at dawn. And then, Gorarung, Kuararung, Hug. When Sejun sat up due to the unexpected snoring, he saw Yona wrapped around Theo's tail and sleeping. She seemed to have come in late at night. Swoosh. Although he woke up earlier than usual, Sejun got up from his bed without going back to sleep. Meow. Starting his day early, Sejun marked the date on his bedroom wall with Theo on his lap. Kwek. When Sejun arrived in the kitchen, he discreetly called for the ant mushrooms by imitating their sound. Kwek, kwek, kwek. 3 mushroom ants proudly approached, antennas held high. Naturally, each of them had a special mushroom on their back. Having reached the 99th floor of the tower the previous day, Sejun briefly visited the mushroom ant colony to check on the elixir mushrooms and secretly arranged to meet them early this dawn. Hehe, thanks for coming out this early. Kwek. In response to Sejun's words, the mushroom ants offered their backs, and Sejun harvested all 3 mushrooms. There were 2 regular elixir mushrooms, a shiitake mushroom and an oyster mushroom, and 1 enhanced elixir mushroom, a white truffle. Gulp. Sejun quickly consumed the 2 regular elixir's mushrooms, leaving the enhanced white truffle mushroom untouched on the table and began preparing breakfast. Krung. It smells delicious. As morning approached, Kyungi, awakened by hunger, was lured by the aroma, came to the kitchen. Then, look at this, Kyungi. I really wanted to eat it, but I waited so we could share. Showing the white truffle mushroom, Sejun spoke. Its aroma completely masked the scent of the elixir mushrooms Sejun consumed. This was Sejun's evolved trick. Krung krung. I'm so happy Dad waited for Kyungi. Elated by Sejun's words, Kyungi danced joyfully. While Sejun might have been a tad deceitful, he did indeed wait to share the last piece, so it wasn't a complete lie. Here, Sejun shared the delicious white truffle with Kyungi, and thanks to that, the morning of the 324th day of being stranded began peacefully. Krung. Dad is the best. Ahem. Sejun thought that next time he'd secretly eat just one. Of course, sharing them all would be the best approach, but Sejun, being the weakest, longed to break free from this condition. Chapter 178, Making Soju. Is Ajax doing well? After breakfast, Sejun checked if Ajax was doing the task he had assigned properly. Current tasks assigned to Ajax Mambube, the tower farmer of the White Tower. Planting seeds of elixir, cherry tomato imbued with powerful magic power, 50,001,00000. Harvesting elixir, cherry tomato imbued with powerful magic power, 3,922,8000. A new task of planting seeds had been added to what was assigned to Ajax. When Sejun realized that eating the elixir-grade cherry tomatoes had no effect, he kept only a portion and harvested seeds from 3,000 of them, obtaining 100,000 seeds. He then used the tower's transportation to send those seeds to Ajax with instructions to plant them. Of course, Ajax had to pay the 1 million tower coins for the delivery. It would have been easier to have Ajax directly plant the harvested elixir-grade cherry tomatoes directly, but that would infringe on the exclusive cultivation rights. Sejun had to give permission and hand over the seeds himself. It was a bit bothersome, but in return, it ensured the preservation of exclusive cultivation rights, so there was no complaint. He's doing well. Seeing Ajax diligently completing his tasks, Sejun commented with satisfaction. Judging by the harvest, it seemed he would soon need to use the tower's transport system again. There were some grievances, though. Ajax's slow work pace wasn't to Sejun's liking. However, since he was following instructions, no penalty could be given, nor was it a breach of contract. Rather than confronting him, Sejun planned to ask Aileen to have a chat with Ajax when the opportunity arose. After checking on Ajax, Sejun headed to the brewery. It was to make the new alcohol he had promised Kaiser and deliver 10 bottles. Upon arriving at the brewery, "Ook ook." The monkeys, about to start their work, greeted Sejun. "Do we have any finished macchiali stored?" "Ook." In response to Sejun's question, the monkeys pointed to the massive glass jars containing macchiali. "Great, pour it in here." "Ook." With the help of the monkeys, Sejun took out a massive pot, filled it with macchiali and sealed it. "Chomp. You have consumed a sturdy strength yellow bean that boosts strength. Strength stat is increased by 100% for 1 minute. Strength stat increased by 33. Grip grip." After eating the yellow bean, Sejun used his enhanced strength to seal the pot and its lid so that no steam could escape. Then, poke. He made a hole in the center of the lid and attached a U-shaped tube, which was made by stretching out a fire ant carapace by Kyungi, ensuring it wouldn't tear, and then rolling it thin following Sejun's detailed instructions. While making this, Sejun had requested a lot of details, so during the process to appease the annoyed Kyungi, 10 bottles of honey went into his snack pouch. After attaching the tube to the pot lid and sealing any gaps with rice dough, Sejun placed the pot over the fire and began boiling it. Initially, he kept the fire strong, but when it started boiling, he reduced the heat. After some time, drip, drip, drops of liquid began to fall from the end of the tube, and the strong scent of alcohol permeated the surroundings. Sejun was in the process of distilling the alcohol to make soju. Sniff, sniff. Kroong. Big bro, it smells. Kyungi, who was playing with Theo at the entrance of the brewery, said while inhaling deeply. Theo was playing with Kyungi since he wasn't allowed inside. Of course, it was Theo's choice. Sejun had placed him there before entering. Smells like alcohol, right? Theo responded while licking himself. Kroong, kroong. Yes, Kyungi wants to try it too. Kyungi, imitating his big brother, followed Theo's gesture and licked his body in response. He occasionally lost his balance and fell. Puhuhut Kyungi, you're still too young, meow. Alcohol is for adults only, meow. Theo replied with pride. Kroong. So jealous. Kyungi gazed enviously at Theo. Puhuhut, should I have a sip, meow? With Kyungi's eyes on him, Theo entered the brewery. Although he typically disliked alcohol, he took out a bottle and began drinking. Initially, he only wanted to show off, but... Kroong. Big bro, Kyungi's envious. Being an adult is cool. Gulp, gulp. Theo, feeling the envious gaze of Kyungi, got excited and drank a whole bottle of high-alcohol content soju that Sejun had just distilled. Hick, meow, how is it, meow? Puhuhut, aren't I cool, meow? But why is the ground moving, meow? Stay still, meow. Theo, who had gotten quite drunk, scolded the ground as he staggered towards Kyungi. Kroong. Big brother, are you okay? Kyungi asked Theo with a concerned tone, watching Theo sway. Puhuhut, of course I'm fine. Theo wasn't particularly good at drinking, nor could he handle his alcohol, and certainly not strong alcohol. So after downing a bottle of freshly distilled soju in one go, he was bound to feel its effects. Thud. Theo fell to the ground. Kroong. Dad, big brother is dead. In a rush, Kyungi desperately called out to Sejun from the entrance of the brewery. Flap, flap. The white dragon statue flew in front of the black dragon statue. Kellyan, how did your mission go? I found 5 fragments of the Apostle of Destruction. What 5? Were you also up against Hydra? No, it was Violet, the crystal giant of destruction of the 11th seat, who invaded our tower. Just Hydra, but Violet too. The situation seems worse than we thought. It was possible that all the towers had already been infiltrated by the Apostle of Destruction. Should inform the other dragons. Violet said their goal is to destroy the towers. Destroy the towers, but why? Kaiser seemed puzzled. The existence of the towers had no effect on their battles with the Apostle of Destruction. Only the dragons could fight the Apostle. But even if the tower was destroyed, the dragons would not be harmed at all, though it might hurt their pride for not being able to defend it. However, even if it's just a small fraction of their power, the Apostles of Destruction were sending fragments to the towers, which would have no influence on the battle during the Black Moon. There must be another reason. Then, what's this smell? Kellyan suddenly followed a scent with his eyes. Smell? Kaiser's black dragon statue was equipped for sight and hearing, but not for other senses. It's a strong scent of alcohol. It's coming from the brewery. In contrast, the dragon statue Kellyan crafted contained his soul, allowing him to experience all 5 senses. Alcohol scent. Flap, flap. Kaiser quickly flew towards the brewery. Kaiser, wait for me. Kellyan followed him. Sai, how can you drink that much when you can't even handle alcohol? Sejun carried the unconscious Theo to his room and laid him on the bed. "Keep an eye on him, Kyungi. If something happens, call me." "Kroong Kroong. Is Big Brother going to be okay? He's not going to die, right?" Kyungi asked with worried eyes. "Yes, he'll be fine. He just needs some time to recover." Sejun answered and headed back to the brewery. "Sejun, what kind of alcohol is this?" Upon reaching the brewery, he found Kaiser and Kellyan drinking the soju from a bottle. "That was supposed to be for you, Lord Kaiser." "What?" Hearing Sejun's words, Kaiser quickly snatched the bottle of soju that Kellyan was holding. "How stingy." "It's being stingy. Didn't you hear, Sejun? It's my soju." Kaiser clutched the bottle of soju defensively, clearly showing he had no intentions of sharing. "Sejun, make some soju for me too." In the end, Kellyan requested Sejun to produce more soju. After having a few glasses, Kellyan became completely enchanted by its flavor. This soju tasted entirely different from Maxiali. It had a clean yet rich and deep flavor. If its alcohol content was slightly higher, it could even compete with the quality of the legendary Dragon's liquor. Making soju isn't that hard, but the cost. Dragon Tooth Warrior for 10 bottles of soju. A Dragon Tooth Warrior can be traded for 1,000 bottles of Maxiali. However, with 1,000 bottles of Maxiali, one can produce 300 bottles of distilled soju. It was a good deal. Actually, it was an incredibly profitable deal. But, I'll consider it for 2 Dragon Tooth Warriors for 10 bottles of soju, and I'll give you 10 bottles of soju today. Sejun wasn't satisfied and decided to haggle. "Deal." Kellyan, eager to drink the soju, immediately handed over the 2 Dragon Tooth Warriors. "Wait a bit." Sejun began filling a new pot with Maxiali. "Lord Kellyan, could you please seal this for me?" This time, instead of consuming the sturdy strength yellow bean, Sejun requested Kellyan's assistance. "Seal." Kellyan quickly sealed the pot. Sejun then plugged a U-shaped tube, which he had made as a backup, into the sealed pot made by Kellyan, and then repeated the same distillation process to make the soju. "Just watch this for a moment." Ook. Ook. After confirming that the alcohol was properly distilled, Sejun left the brewery to the monkeys and moved to the kitchen. And open the storage. Creak. Sejun took out a large pot from the secret storage that he kept hidden from Kyungi and began warming up tuna porridge he scooped into a smaller pot. Dedada. Sejun finally chopped detoxifying green onions and elixir-grade cherry tomatoes into the tuna porridge, ensuring that Theo, who only eats grilled fish and churu, wouldn't notice. The detoxifying green onion was for detoxifying alcohol, and the elixir-grade cherry tomatoes were for nourishment. "It's ready." Sejun, holding the finished tuna porridge, approached the bedroom. "Ugh, meow, my head hurts so much, meow, am I dying, meow?" Where Theo, holding his head, weakly spoke with a pale face. "Kroong. Big brother, you can't die." Kyungi cried, holding onto Theo's front paw. "I'm sorry, Kyungi, meow. I think this is the end for me, meow. If I die, please take care of Chairman Park's knees, meow." The two were being melodramatic. "That's just a hangover," Sejun said, sitting next to Theo. "I knew it would be a deadly disease, meow." "You idiot, it's just a hangover." Theo seemed convinced he was dying. "Here, eat this quickly, it'll make you feel better." To prevent Theo from having any more negative thoughts, Sejun hurriedly scooped the tuna porridge and brought it to him. "My appetite is meow." Slurp, slurp, slurp. Drawn by the appetizing smell, Theo eagerly licked up the tuna porridge. Thankfully, the finely chopped green onions and cherry tomatoes were undetectable. Theo enjoyed the meal. A short while later. "Phew, I'm cured, meow. Chairman Park is amazing, meow." Thanks to the detoxifying green onions, Theo, having detoxified the alcohol, sprung up energetically and clung to Sejun's lap. "Kroong. It's a relief, big brother." Kyungi was delighted to see Theo in good health again, and Kyungi vowed never to drink alcohol even when he grew up. believing drinking alcohol leads to a deadly disease called hangover. Theo had set a good example for Kyungi. Sejun, having cured Theo's hangover, proceeded to make more soju. The next morning, Chairman Park, I'll be right back, meow. Sejun quickly sent Theo off, hoping he wouldn't get into any trouble. And Taru, long time no see, meow. Theo confidently headed straight for the 75th floor lost and found storage. Why are you here again? Taru tried to sound indifferent but couldn't completely hide the joy. Theo's visits made things less boring. Silly one, meow. Of course I came to draw, meow. Here's 1,000 tower coins, meow. Theo proudly handed over the money. Pew Hugh Hut. I'm going to bring something impressive to Chairman Park and will surely receive praise, meow tilde. Laughing, Theo entered the lost and found storage. TL notes. 1 here, the Korean word used is a friendly way of saying fool or idiot, so I have used silly, which does sound a bit odd, but I couldn't think of any other way of representing it. Chapter 179. I thought I was going to get caught. Meow meow meow. Theo boldly entered the room on the far right, the fourth from the end of the hallway in the lost and found storage. Inside, there was a massive pile of junk, about the size of pink fur. Splash! Theo boldly jumped into the pile of junk. Now that he could use his water affinity ability, he could clean himself comfortably, so he had no reason to shy away from the dust. Where is it, meow? Theo moved around inside the pile of junk as if swimming, following the pull of his front paw. And then, this is it, meow. Theo picked up a palm-sized bronze plaque, and with this, he felt that Chairman Park's satisfaction level would reach close to a perfect 10. Chairman Park's satisfaction level was a new metric Theo had derived from observing Sejun all this while. Pew Hugh Hut, Chairman Park will be grateful to me, meow. Theo happily left the lost and found storage holding the bronze plaque. You're really going with that? Taru looked at Theo, who had come out covered in dust for the sake of a single tarnished bronze plaque, and asked. Although he knew that asking wouldn't change Theo's mind, he couldn't help but feel pity. Yes, meow. As expected, Theo firmly answered. Maybe he didn't realize he was wasting money here. All right, see you again. Meow, I won't come back, meow. To Taru's words, Theo gave an unexpected reply. Huh, why? Taru was taken aback. When told not to come, he would repeatedly come, but when told to come, he would. There's nothing left for me to take from here, meow. Always taking junk, he seemed to have his own standards. Then next time, I'll let you into a different lost and found storage. Noticing that Theo had a peculiar taste for items in bad condition, Taru enticed him with another storage full of discarded items and items deemed unnecessary for the lost and found were kept. There were also many junk items there, so Taru thought Theo would definitely be interested. Meow, there's another lost and found storage, meow. As expected, Theo reacted. Yes, so come back again next time. Got it, meow. See you next time, meow. Theo left the lost and found storage and quickly moved to the 40th floor. Land moving. You have planted 500 magical cherry tomato seeds in the magic power-infused soil. Due to the effect of magic seed sowing LV. 6. The probability of the magical cherry tomato seeds taking root increases. Due to the effect of magic seed sowing LV. 6. The growth speed of the magical cherry tomato seeds will increase for 24 hours. You have 7,733,817 times left until job quest completion. After sending Theo off, Sejun was diligently planting tomatoes to complete his job quest. Then, Kroong. Dad, where? Kyungi's grandma. Suddenly, Kyungi started looking for Grandma. Grandma, my mom. Kroong. Yes, Kyungi's grandma is Dad's mom. Why are you suddenly looking for Grandma? Kroong. The monkey uncles told me that if there's a grandma, she'd give lots of tasty snacks and tell fun stories. It seemed like Kyungi had heard something from the monkeys, But Kyungi, were you lacking snacks? Sejun felt a little sad that Kyungi was still looking for more snacks even though he had given him so much. And apart from that, Grandma. Sejun was reminded of his family by Kyungi's words. Lately, he's been secretly sending money and checking on their well-being. This is because there were forces trying to approach his family to get the crops he sells. While most just observed from afar, some had malicious intentions. So Sejun asked Han Tae-jun to protect his family, and using one of Theo's favors, Theo had Han Tae-jun ensure the safety of Sejun's family. Thanks to that, security personnel, disguised as neighbors, were living in the apartments next to, above, and below Sejun's apartment. Additionally, guards disguised as apartment security and cleaners were on duty. Of course, guards in disguise were also stationed at the workplace of Sejun's father, Park Chun-ho, and at the school of Sejun's younger brother, Park Si-dal. While hearing all these people would usually cost a fortune, selling a few of Sejun's crops would easily sustain a security force 100 times the current size. I miss the kimchi stew my mom used to make, Sejun said in a longing voice. He often got irritated at his mother for serving kimchi stew every day. But now, that very kimchi stew was what he craved the most. Kroong. Does Kyungi not have a grandmother? It seemed Kyungi misunderstood Sejun's expression. Why wouldn't you have one? It's just that you can't see her right now. You have a grandmother, a grandfather, and a younger dad. Kroong kroong. Really, that's exciting. Hearing Sejun's words, Kyungi joyfully danced, shaking both his tail and shoulders. There were now more people to give Kyungi snacks. Shall we practice how to greet your grandmother when we meet her? Kroong. Yes. Kyungi nodded vigorously at Sejun's suggestion. First impressions are crucial. Kyungi started special training to get more snacks from Grandma. Now bow at a 90-degree angle like this and say, "Hello, Grandma. I'm Kyungi," Dad will demonstrate. Sejun placed his hand on his belly and bowed 90 degrees. Kroong kroong. Hello, Grandma, I am Kyungi. Kyungi, mimicking Sejun, placed his front paws on his belly and bowed 90 degrees. However, as he lowered his head, his center of gravity shifted too far forward. Kyungi thought he couldn't fall. If he failed, he might not get snacks. Kroong. With a determined look, Kyungi dug his toes into the ground, solving a small problem through his sheer physical prowess. Good job. Kroong. Is that it? Kyungi looked puzzled at Sejun's praise. Yes, if you do just that, your grandmother might just faint from cuteness. Sejun's mother, Kim Mi-ran, had a weak spot for cute animals, and now the cutest creature, Kyungi, greeted her like that. It was a surefire way to capture her heart. Then, Kroong kroong. Kyungi won't do that. Even if Dad dislikes Grandma, Kyungi won't hurt her. Kyungi seemed to have misunderstood Sejun's words, thinking Sejun wanted to use him to hurt his grandmother because he didn't like her. What's hahata? Sejun burst into laughter at Kyungi's misunderstood words. The way Kyungi thought was just too cute. Kroong. Kyungi is serious. If you hate Grandma, then you're a bad person. Angry, Kyungi took out his branch stick. Whoa, no, that's not what I meant. Sejun quickly tried to calm Kyungi down and explain. Kroong. Will Grandma really be that happy to see Kyungi? Yes, for sure. She might keep giving you snacks until Kyungi asks her to stop. Kroong kroong. Really, Kyungi wants to see Grandma soon. Hearing Sejun's words, Kyungi wished he could meet his grandmother sooner. Later, Kyuiha. Was Kyungi imagining meeting his grandmother? Kyungi chuckled to himself. Kyungi, play around here. Kroong. Okay. Sejun let Kyungi play and went back to planting cherry tomatoes. As lunchtime approached, that's enough for now. Sejun decided to make a move before Kyungi's belly clock rang its hunger alarm. While Sejun was on his way to the kitchen, thud! A vibration shook the ground. It came from the cave where Flamey was. What's going on, Flamey? Descending into the cave, Sejun asked. Master, another tuna suddenly appeared in the pond today. Flamey pointed at the tuna that had appeared in the pond using a leaf. Oh really, we can have it for lunch. But what's going on here? Why does the tuna keep coming up on its own? Sejun marveled as he examined the tuna. Although smaller than the last one, it was still about 10 meters in length. I need to cut it up and store it in the freezer in void storage. While Sejun was diligently processing the tuna. Clang clang. Something fell from the tuna's mouth, making a series of cheerful sounds. Huh. When Sejun looked toward the source of the noise, there were 1 gray coin and 2 green coins, a total of 3 coins lying on the ground. Kraken's gray coin. Leviathan's green coin. At first glance, these were the coins dropped when an apostle of destruction died. Why are these here? Sejun felt something was amiss. Did the tuna eat the apostle of destruction? It didn't make sense. Even for a tuna, this one was weak without any inner core. Of course, even with an inner core, it would have still been impossible. So did the tuna just swallow these coins, and all 3 of them? It seemed very odd. As Sejun was lost in thought. Krung. Daddy Kyungi's hungry. Feeling hungry, Kyungi started looking for Sejun. All right, just wait a bit. Sejun quickly put the coins in his pocket and stored the remaining tuna in the void storage, and said, Flamey, I'm going up. Yes, enjoy your lunch. As Sejun hurriedly went up to prepare lunch. Phew, I thought I was going to get caught. Flame heaved a sigh of relief. Meow meow meow. Theo, having found an item of a 10-point on Chairman Park's satisfaction level, cheerfully hummed as he arrived on the 40th floor of the tower. Pew Pew Hut, today I'll plunder the humans' pockets again, meow. Theo confidently walked towards the hunters' camp. Then, surround him. Suddenly, about 100 hunters wearing black masks appeared out of nowhere and surrounded Theo. What meow? Theo asked, looking at the masked figures that surrounded him. Why are they blocking his path? Are you Theo? Among the masked men, one with the number 2 on his mask asked, staring at Theo. The man was shirtless beneath his mask, revealing a tattoo of 3 snakes from the 3-Head Society clearly on his muscular left chest. Among the 3 snake tattoos, one was colored blue. No, I'm not meow. Theo responded confidently. What, don't lie. We know you're the wandering cat merchant named Theo. The masked man, unperturbed by Theo's calm response, yelled in exasperation. You're wrong, meow. I am the mighty subordinate of the great black dragon, the deadly dragon-clawed yellow cat Theopark, meow. Snap. Theo corrected the masked man's mistake and drew out his dragon claw. It's the same thing, it's him, grab him. Yes. The masked men rushed towards Theo. However, they were dealing with Theo, armed with a dragon claw and a being from the 75th floor of the tower, who had become incredibly stronger after eating Sejun's nourishing meal. Swish, swish. With just a few swings of his front paws, none of the assailants remained. The masked men, along with the surrounding ground, were sliced apart by the powerful magic blade emanating from the dragon claw. This is what happens when you interfere with Chairman Park's work, meow. Theo, pleased with himself for taking down the forces that had been hindering Sejun, shouted triumphantly. Oddly, his body felt overenergized and a bit uncomfortable, but using his strength made him feel slightly better. Just then, you're quite something. From the corpse of the masked man with the number 2, a giant blue snake emerged. Crackle. The surrounding ground began to freeze, centered around the blue snake. Come to think of it, did Theo go to the bathroom after eating the nourishing meal? Sejun, while grilling tuna, recalled the events of yesterday. For Theo's hangover, Sejun made a tuna porridge, adding about 50 elixir-grade tomatoes that held immense magic power. Its color was white, so even if a lot was added, it wasn't noticeable. So, Theo had consumed a nourishing meal that could increase one's magic power by 500, provided the potential was there. He must have done it when I wasn't there, right? Sejun thought it was unlikely. If Theo had fully digested it, his stomach would have probably hurt a bit. Chapter 180. I won't let this go. Shiver, shiver. Theo shuddered, not from cold but from the strong aura of the blue snake. For Theo, who had withstood the dragon's aura, the aura spewed out by the fragment of the Apostle of Destruction had been negligible, but I'm not on Chairman Park's lap anymore, meow. Back then he had Sejun's lap, but now he didn't. Theo's confidence plummeted. It's time to bring that out, meow. Theo, with a serious expression, pulled out a secret weapon he had hidden in his bag. And then, swish, he draped the secret weapon like a cape and tied its ends in front of his neck. The mysterious weapon Theo revealed was a blanket Sejun used while living in the cave. To be exact, it was just the part of the blanket that covered Sejun's knees, which Theo had cut and stored when Sejun discarded the blanket upon returning to the surface. Pew hut, I've now recharged with Chairman Park's lap energy. Theo exclaimed with a confident look, completely different from a moment ago. How dare you try to steal Chairman Park's crops? I'll teach you a lesson, meow. Theo shouted defiantly at the blue snake blocking his path. Insolent creature, feel my wrath. Winds of freezing terror freeze the enemy. Whoosh. With the blue snake's words, a massive ice storm emanating from the snake grew larger, approaching Theo. But then, stop fooling around, meow. Empowered by the blanket that had covered Sejun's knees for so long, Theo felt fearless. Theo infused all his magic power into his dragon claws. Somehow I feel an overflow of magic power, meow. As expected, when I'm with Chairman Park's knee, I'm invincible, meow. Theo once again realized the greatness of Sejun's knee as he felt the endless surge of power into the dragon claw. Although it was thanks to the nourishing meal Sejun had prepared, all credit went to Sejun's knee. As Theo continued to pour magic power, the black dragon claw started to become transparent. And then, meow meow. Theo swung his now fully transparent front paw wildly. Without any sound, everything in the vicinity was sliced apart, including the ice storm and the blue snake. Arg, to be defeated by such a lowly creature. Thud. The blue snake's body split into several pieces and collapsed. Meow, I think I just did something amazing, meow. Theo, recalling his recent sensation, became lost in thought. Pew hut, I've decided, meow. The name of this technique is Vice Chairman Theo's ultimate secret technique, meow meow storm fist, meow. Just as Theo had named his technique. Clang. A bronze coin dropped. Pew hut, now I can give this coin to Chairman Park, meow. Theo, with a satisfied look, put the bronze coin and his secret weapon, the blanket, into his bag and took out his sunglasses. And then, humans, I've arrived, meow. With a majestic stride, he announced his arrival at the hunter's camp. And then, he's here. Theo is here. The bald, shining-headed hunters in the camp rushed over. I knew I did the right thing, meow. Theo, warmly welcomed by the bald hunters, moved to the center of the camp and started the auction. Today, I'll start by selling the new crops first, meow. New crops. At Theo's words, the hunters' faces were filled with anticipation. Every time Theo brought new crops, the medical world on Earth was turned upside down. Problems that had been considered impossible for a long time were solved. Crops like tomatoes that made you lose weight healthily, corn that grew hair, green onions that cured liver cancer, and potatoes that cured stomach cancer. And they were all delicious without side effects. Now, even hospitals would outright recommend buying Theo's crops to patients who have reached a dead end with conventional treatments. Of course, the issue was the exorbitant price, but the effectiveness was undeniable. Today's crops for sale are agility cucumbers and stamina radishes, meow. Theo took out a cucumber and radish, allowing the hunters to see their options. Cucumbers help invigorate kidney functions. Radishes are for lung functions. As the hunters verified the crop options, Now let's begin the auction, meow. First, I will auction 20 pieces of the stamina radish, one piece at a time, meow. Theo started the auction. Only 20 pieces. The quantity was too small. 150 tower coins. 155 tower coins. 160 tower coins. Thanks to the limited quantity, the stamina radish received high bids from the beginning. With crops from the tower that could treat liver and stomach cancers, other wealthy individuals with different illnesses also requested to purchase crops in the hope that a remedy for their ailment would be found. Thus, the competition was fierce. 200 tower coins. Sold, meow. With that, the first auction for the stamina radish came to an end. The stamina radish is now sold out, meow. All the remaining stamina radishes were sold, with the average price settling at 220 tower coins. Next up are the agility cucumbers, meow. I will auction 5 at a time for a total of 100, meow. 150 tower coins. 152 tower coins. 153 tower coins. In the case of the agility cucumber, they weren't as expensive because kidney transplants could serve as a cure, so its price didn't rise significantly. The average price was 25 tower coins. After the new crops auction, the auction for previously sold crops began. Starting with the exploding stamina corn for hair loss treatment, followed by the detoxifying green onion for liver cancer, the power potato for stomach cancer, and the power sweet potato that enhances the absorption rate. While most crops were sold at similar prices, the price of the power sweet potato skyrocketed that day. 350,000 tower coins for 1,000 pieces. 370,000 tower coins for 1,000 pieces. 400,000 tower coins for 1,000 pieces. This was due to the stamina radishes that Theo had sold. For lung cancer treatment, 5 stamina radishes were required, but there was a serious shortage. The idea was to compensate for the lack of radishes with the effects of the power sweet potato. Despite the need to spend nearly 400 billion won to buy 1,000 power sweet potatoes, on Earth, there were many wealthy individuals willing to pay a high price for just one. Even with a slight markup, there were many willing buyers, so they could afford to buy 1,000 power sweet potatoes without any issues. With the auction concluded. See you next time, meow. Theo quickly left the venue without even taking photos. Huff huff, I suddenly feel so unwell, meow. I need Chairman Park's lap, meow. Although the aftereffects of using a lot of magic power during the fight with the blue snake were only manifesting now, Theo believed it was because he was away from Sejun's lap. Feeling exhausted, he quickly headed to the 49th floor of the tower. Kyungi, let's go. Krung. Understood, Daddy, get on. Upon hearing Sejun's words, Kyungi, who had eaten a hearty lunch and was patting his stomach, enlarged himself and lay down in front of Sejun. Let's go. So, riding on Kyungi, Sejun moved towards the waypoint to head back to the 49th floor. And then, Creak. Kyungi, stay inside for a bit. Upon arriving at the waypoint, Sejun spoke as he opened the void storage. Krung. Understood. Kyungi seemed excited to go into the pocket void storage, probably planning to munch on stored food until Sejun opened the door for him. However, you can't eat while inside, Kyungi. Krung. Can't eat inside. Yes. Krung. Understood. Kyungi seemed disappointed by Sejun's words. Creak. You have arrived at the 49th floor. After closing the door, Sejun arrived at the 49th floor using the waypoint. Lord Sejun, you've arrived. Upon Sejun's arrival, Dooku hurriedly greeted him. Yes, everything been okay. Yes, no issues. Good, all right, use this. Sejun handed a dragon tooth helmet to Dooku. What's this? It's made from a dragon's teeth. A dragon's tooth for a mole like me. Moved by Sejun's gesture, Dooku carefully put on the dragon tooth helmet. How to use it is. Sejun quickly explained the helmet's usage. Sejun had been distributing these helmets to bosses on the farming floors. To use the waypoint safely, it was more convenient for him if they kept their positions. Thanks to this, Dooku would later be known as the impenetrable Dooku among the hunters. After teaching Dooku how to use the helmet, Sejun. Krieg. Kyungi come out. Sejun called for Kyungi, who was in the void storage, to come out and travel from the waypoint to the farm. Kroong kroong. Kyungi listened well to Daddy. Kyungi resisted and didn't eat. Kyungi came out with his snack pouch so full of food that it looked ready to burst, and he did so confidently. What he meant was that he had restrained himself from eating in the storage, and now he was ready to feast. Well done. Sejun smiled and patted Kyungi on the head, appreciating the effort he made to keep his promise. Let's go. The golden bat, you can go ahead and start singing songs. Okay. At Sejun's call, the golden bat, which had been sleeping on Sejun's back, quickly flew towards the persimmon farm. Kroong. Dad, hop on. Sejun mounted the now enlarged Kyungi and moved to the persimmon farm. Just then, I can feel Theo's presence. Sejun's Theo detector was activated. Sniff, sniff. Kroong. I don't smell big bro. Even though Kyungi sniffed around diligently, he couldn't detect Theo's scent. Sejun's Theo detector seemed to have improved for some reason. Really? But why do I feel so uneasy? Kyungi, let's quickly head that way. Sejun pointed in the direction where he felt Theo's presence. Kroong. Understood. Thud, thud. On Sejun's command, Kyungi started to run quickly. After about 30 minutes of full-speed running. Kroong. I can smell big bro. Finally, Kyungi detected Theo's scent. There he is. After running for about 10 more minutes, they spotted Theo lying on the ground. Vice Chairman Theo. Kroong. Big bro. Sejun and Kyungi ran towards Theo, calling out to him. And then, Vice Chairman Theo. Sejun hurriedly and gently picked up Theo. Chairman Park, put me on your lap. Hearing Sejun's voice, Theo opened his eyes with difficulty and spoke with great effort. I got it. Sejun quickly placed Theo on his lap. Pooh hut, it's mine, meow. Theo chuckled weakly and clung to Sejun's lap with all his remaining strength. What's so funny that you're laughing like a fool? Sejun, looking pitifully at Theo, tied him to his knee with a rope. Having done it once before, he could skillfully wrap the rope. Theo, feeling the warmth of Sejun's lap, seemed relieved and soon passed out. But why is Theo drained of magic power? Having experienced magic power depletion himself many times, Sejun instantly recognized Theo's condition. Clearly, something had happened. Sejun felt guilty, thinking it might be his fault for sending Theo away. I won't let this go. Sejun swore not to forgive whoever or whatever had done this to Theo. Kyungi, let's go to the farm. Kroong. Understood. Kyungi, carrying Sejun and Theo, hurriedly ran towards the persimmon farm. Choo-choo. On the way, Sejun chewed on an elixir-grade cherry tomato and fed it to Theo's mouth. As an elixir that boosts magic power, it helped to recover quickly from the magic power depletion. Thanks to it, Theo awakened, having recovered from the depletion. As long as I'm on Chairman Park's lap, I'm invincible, meow. I feel so powerful, meow. Once again, all the credit went to Sejun's lap. And then, why aren't you healed? Sejun anxiously looked at Theo, who had consumed 20 elixir-grade cherry tomatoes.